Good morning. It is morning. Okay, so today I'm going to bring to you a little story about the question you want to ask yourself, and I asked myself this was, how healthy are you? Like, are you really healthy in all areas? And what does that even mean? So there's more than just the nutrition and exercise aspect of it, but I'm going to give you a little rundown of it, a little bit of my story, and you're going to understand why maybe we're not as healthy as we think we are. And maybe you are. I don't know. I certainly wasn't. I had to check myself. It is not about diet, all about diet and exercise. While those things are awesome and they're great, everything that we do, every choice that you make, it either improves or destroys or maintains our current state of well-being. And okay, but wait, I'm eating right and I'm exercising, so what? There's more to it. There's like these pillars. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about them before. Physical, mental, social, emotional, environmental, financial. How are your relationships? Again, yes, nutrition and exercise, but are there other areas that you're like, my life is toxic and I am not healthy? And you're probably thinking, I don't have these issues. Let me just give you a little more of my story. We actually have more control over this than we realize, and we actually let certain areas slip more than we realize. I was at a point in my life where it was like my daily actions didn't reflect all those areas. And those areas that I'm speaking of are more of an integrative nutritional health type aspect. Not just look good, look like the lady on the magazine. Things are really cool. My actions weren't matching all of those areas. But at that time I was like, whatever, I'm working at this gym, and I thought I was, doing great with my diet and exercise. I thought it was like spot on, and I was clean eating, and I was eating the low fat, the low calorie, the 1,200 calories. And I thought it was really healthy because that was kind of what was taught to me at that time where I was at in my life. I wasn't gaining weight. I was actually losing weight, and I was told that I looked good. And funny thing is, I felt like I needed to look like that trainer or that trainer or that trainer because they were getting all the clients. But when you actually look at it at the health standpoint of view, like all of us were emotionally suffering somewhere. And that's a huge health issue. There was a binge eating one. There was one that was on steroids. Yes. There was an infection at the injection site that I had to look at one day. There was one wearing a huge oversized sweatshirt in the middle of summer because there were too much. So we were all suffering. And I chose to not suffer in that area anymore and realize that this was not who I was. But at that time, I didn't fully understand what the heck these other areas were and how they were impacting my overall health and well-being. And at that time, the look was kind of there. It felt like shit. I felt like I lost something. I felt like I was competing with a look of, this is maybe what I should look like, so then I'll meet the quotas that they want, and then I'll be able to get more clients and promote these bullshit fat-burning supplements that they're telling us that we need to promote, and then I'll put someone else in that same boat I'm in right now. And I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't. I wasn't at my best. My sleep sucked. My thyroid was giving me issues. Of course, that's a continuing battle all the time. Energy sucked. I looked real good. But from the inside, I was screaming. Emotionally, I was crabby. I was stressed. Just all those areas were really giving me a run for my money. I wasn't happy. I wasn't. Even when people say, hey, you look great, you lost weight. Have you lost weight? You look great. And I was like, yeah, I have. And then I was like, I'm starving all the time. Like, for real. So I was struggling from the inside. Nobody saw that because I looked great. You know, that was the comments I got. I didn't feel like I looked great. I felt like I looked really ugly. I felt like death warmed over. Is that what I want to say? So I kind of had to step back. And guys, don't get me wrong. These things happen over a span of time. It wasn't something that overnight I was like, oh yeah, I need to change that. This is why I feel like shit. This is why I feel that way. This is why I feel this way. But I had to step back because I wasn't who I wanted to be for not only myself, but for those around me. It was unhealthy. Okay? So I had to step back and I had to look at the big picture and look at health from a different point of view, a little bit beyond the nutrition and exercise. Because I got to a point where food was my enemy. I hated it. It pissed me off. And exercise was stupid. Really? Yes. That's the true reality of it all. I was a slave. I seriously was a slave to it. So it wasn't just the physical aspect that I thought it was. It was more than that. So it was time to work on making healthier decisions. And at that time I was like, well, what the heck? What do I need to change? And I was like, well, first of all, like, I'm a bitch. I am just like, I want to knock everybody out. I just am pissed off at this. I'm pissed off at that. You know, where I was working, I was unhappy because of certain things. I won't dive into that, but you've heard some of it. There was more above and beyond that. So I was like, you know, my energy sucks. My sleep sucks. I'm stressed out. I'm like, I need to get sleep because I am a walking zombie and all these, like, clearly unhealthy. I could dive way further into that, but, you know, I was taking the over-the-counter pills and, you know, sleeping pills like Tylenol PM and the sleep aids, and felt like I was hit by a Mack truck in the morning. So clearly that wasn't healthy or helping me. So I worked on that. I focused in, I zeroed in, I found something that works for me, that helps me relax and helps me fall asleep. And, you know, I mean, like, meditation is huge. There's all kinds of things that I've worked on. But number one for me, outside of, okay, so number two, because number one was like, I need to sleep because I'm a zombie and I can't think straight. Thinking. My mindset was so jacked up and so in the wrong place because of what I had been told was the right thing. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't the right thing for me. I was suffering in all these other areas that I just had talked about. All these pillars were falling down. And I was not balanced, right? But exercise and nutrition were great. Yeah. But like I said, not only did I deserve a better version of myself, so did my family and the people I worked with and those around me. And they deserve to understand that, like, if you're feeling this way, maybe you're not the only one. Because it's not about, for me, it's not about a look. It's about a feel. And I felt like shit. From every aspect. You know, sleeping, emotionally, my body was just completely tired because, you know, God, I needed to do 2 a days. I had to do fasting cardio and then lift weights in the afternoon. And, oh my God, if I didn't fit that in and I didn't if I got 1,201 calories, I was going to gain weight, and then I wouldn't look good according to the head trainer, and then I wouldn't be meeting the quotas, and like all this bullshit. Oh, hey, and by the way, I wasn't even getting paid. I was, but it was pretend. So there we go. I was suffering. My job sucked at the time. I had to change some things. So I did. I got my priorities in check because I was like, well, if not for me, I need to do it for them. I have 2 daughters. They don't need to feel like they have to look this way. I felt like I needed to look like these other trainers, or like, because that's what was being preached to me. That was what was bringing in the money, and it was killing me on the inside. So glad that that's not the way I promote things. So glad that I'm not forced to promote things that way, because that's not who I am at all. Done with that. So I got to this point where I was like, I need to be a healthy person for me, and I need to find what works for me. And it was huge. It was mindset. I needed like a mindset adjustment. And it did not. It wasn't an overnight thing. But I needed something that was going to work for me for long-term wellness. Not a look, wellness. And if you've ever heard me talk about sustainability and sanity, that's what I needed to find in all those areas of my life. Now, there are days that, like, you know, I still feel like I am losing my shit. But they're few and far in between compared to what they were a couple years back. So I got to this point, and I found who I lost. I found that person that was in here, that was stuck in here, that was screaming, that was crying. And I started to work on her. And mentally, I felt better. My relationships were better. My finances were better. And it wasn't that like, oh, hey, but because I was making so much money. No, these are things that were suffering because this one little area was so off balance that it affected all the other areas. So my sleep and my mindset were two of the hugest things that I worked on. And it brought things pretty much full circle. And I got to this point where I was like, I can't promote this way of thinking that they're wanting me to promote. That is not me. But I thought it worked, so I kept using it. I kept going with it and saying, like, yeah, this is working for this one. Like, if you see that picture of this person who's fit and trim, you want to work with that person. Dude, I want to work with someone who's freaking real, who has had some things that I've had, who has gone down the road that I've gone down, and I found that. I found that through my training, through my education, through the people that I have met, and that is what I want to promote. I don't want to promote shit-ass, fat-burning bullshit. Oh, sorry, I swore. Can't stand it. That is crap. Maybe, I mean, if it works for you, like, I'm cool. But I'm not drinking BCAAs all day to lose 3 pounds in a day. I'm not doing it because so I can look this way. Not doing it. Anyway. Right? So do you see how that brings that in? Like, oh, that had me going nuts. And maybe it's not making you crazy. It works for you. But I had to look at health in a totally different way. I had to realize that this was having an impact on not just the way I looked at food, the way I looked at exercise, just the way that my life was. And how it was affecting those around me. And this stuff matters, guys. This is the real deal. This is you being human. This is me being human. This is part of my story that I had to chip away at because I'm so scared to share it with people because what if they found out that this is how I was? It doesn't matter to me anymore. I want to be real. I want to let you know what I've gone through. I want to let you know that like if you're in this category, you're not alone. Like a personal trainer, health coach, fitness instructor is not freaking perfect. They are not a perfect Stepford human being. Okay? Don't ever let them fool you and make you believe that. And, you know, and if they're promoting a certain type of eating way or a certain 8 weeks to a tight ass, whatever it is, like, is that realistic? Is it sustainable? Will you lose your sanity through it? I always want to ask that. So I had to change my message. I had to take it from what I was kind of forced to believe was the way that it was to promoting what I really do believe and who I am. And if I didn't share it with you, that would be wrong. It really would, because this has been a journey. And it's like this, right? It goes like this. It's this roller coaster ride. And I've used this in a lot of my, business group talks that I've had. And I'm like, it's like a roller coaster. And it has its ups and downs. But on the way down, you want to be the one who's got your hands up. You don't want to be, I'm the one who hangs on and screams because whatever, I'm scared. But you don't want to be that one that's hanging on or like this on the ride. You want to be like, woo, you want to enjoy it. You want to find that balance between those pillars. And I always ask a lot of my clients, I'm like, here, this is this little circle of life. This is this wheel. Grade it on a scale of 1 to 10. What area needs to be worked on the most? And how can we take baby steps to make that a little bit better in your life? It's not an overnight quick fix. It's not a wrap. It's not a cream. It's not a pill. It's not a program. It's not a meal plan. It's not all this BS. And if it works for you, like I said, don't ever think that I'm telling you not to do it. It didn't work for me. It made me someone I didn't want to be. And when you have your priorities straight and you understand why you're doing what you're doing, and you realize that you're redefining what health is, you're redefining and expanding beyond diet and nutrition, that, for me, was where I needed to go. And so that is why I'm sharing my story with you today, because the question is, how healthy are you? There was a look, but there certainly wasn't a feel. I felt real ugly inside, and my health was suffering. Not my, numbers as far as like cholesterol and all those things, but like my physical, because I was pissed. I didn't want to work out. So emotionally, mentally, socially, relationships, all those things have a lot to do with our health. Just think about it. How stressed are you in certain areas, and how does that affect you? I'm stressed. I can't sleep. I'm crabby. Nobody wants to be around. Like that, just the pillars just start falling. So working on putting those pillars up, bringing that circle right around 360 degrees, right? Baby steps. That is what I promote. That is what worked for me. That is where so many people are stuck, because I'm eating the low fat, I'm eating the low calorie, aka a chemical shitstorm, which down the line is going to wreck some health really bad. But when you know better, you do better. And what I thought I was promoting at the time was not who I wanted to be. It is not what was working for me. It was killing me on the inside. And I even said something one time to the owner, and I was like, this is not what that's okay. We have the head trainer, and they're blah, 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 blah. And so it's like an umbrella, and you'll be okay. And I was like, no, I won't be okay. So yeah, that was 6 years. So I mean, like, this is not an overnight thing. It took me a while. So if you're in this area where you're like, yeah, I think I'm healthy, but like I have anxiety and stress and all these other things, that's detrimental to your long-term health. So working on those pillars. So I want you to grade that. I want you to kind of look at, I'm going to close this out with grading like physical health, emotional and mental, like environmental, financial. How are your relationships? How's your job, your spirituality, nutrition? Like maybe you're a binge eating because you're pissed off about this, that, or the other. And when you address that area, the binge eating won't happen. So it's time to stop beating ourselves up about all these things that we think are making us healthy, and find out what works for you as an individual. Because what worked for me may not work for someone else. And, it's just the whole aspect of it all, that when you bring it full circle, you understand like, oh, my priorities are actually in check. And when I worked on this area didn't suffer so much. And to me, it was a toxic environment I needed to get out of, and just a whole bunch of things. I'll go into that on another day and another time, but I look at health in a totally different way. Just because of what went on in the past, things that have changed me and made me feel different and made me feel like I wasn't who I was supposed to be. And then I realized, like, this isn't who I want to be for those people that mean the most to me. And I feel like that is where your priorities should be, not where mine were at the time. So that's pretty much it. Ask yourself, am I really healthy in all those areas? And then grade it. And if you want to talk more about it, shoot me a message or comment below, because I would love to just see where everybody's at with things. I do this, like I said, with my clients and my groups, and it's amazing where people are like, yeah, I'm suffering here, but I'm taking it out on this over here. Life doesn't need to be that way, and as I always say, there's always another way. So you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for hopping on and listening, and we will chat later.